So a journey of faith leads to journey faith. Hi, I'm Mark Mellinger, and this is Hope, Faith, and Infertility, a podcast brought to you by Rejoice Fertility in Knoxville, Tennessee, where we say hope starts with a conversation. So we're having a conversation today, and it is a conversation of hope. Lacie and RJ Gudger are with me, and they're one of our Rejoice Fertility families with just a great story to share with you. So let's start here. Let's walk back and start at the hard part. Explain to me how infertility intruded upon your life.
It probably started back when we were actually dating. In 2006, RJ had a pituitary adenoma, brain tumor that was removed, and it caused fertility issues there. That's where it started with, telling us that the likelihood of us being parents was biologically was probably not going to happen. So at that time, dating, we, kids, we wanted them, but, we weren't married or anything like that. I was still in school. So when the time come when we got married in 2010, we started talking about what are our options. We started at Vanderbilt with Dr. Utz, and she started him simply, she said, because it was after puberty, we would be able to have a good chance. So she started him just on a simple fertility med. It was the Pregnal, the HCG injection. And within probably that year, we were getting hope then. So it just took a lot of trials, and we went to a couple of fertility clinics before we found Dr. Keenan there, and had several IUIs. I actually ended up finding out I had some endometriosis with one of my OBGYNs, and that was playing a factor in it as well. So multiple issues as far as the endometriosis, fertility, finding the right medication, and God led us to Dr. Keenan, and we started One More Shot, and that really jump started the increase in our hope on being able to have journey.
Well, and there's so much there too, RJ. And RJ, do you want me to call you RJ or Robert?
RJ's fine.
Okay, I wasn't sure because I know we've called you both at our office, and RJ's good with me. That's not a minor thing, having like a brain tumor removed. That in itself just had to be an immense trial for you.
It was big. It impacted me spiritually, mentally, and it took a lot out of me, but it took faith to get it back in place and get us to where we are today.
Other than fertility issues, has it affected you in any demonstrable ways today? Does it still affect you having that removed? Even though it was, I guess, close to 20 years ago.
I have to take a lot of steroids, a lot of injections daily to be able to get up and be able to go to work and be able to make a daily process of things.
Yeah, so that alone has been really, really difficult. I guess a couple things I would ask, since we talk about faith a lot on this podcast, and we're talking about, if you go all the way back to 2006, you are talking about a 17-year fertility journey with like devastating ups and downs. Was there a time when, despite your faith, both of you felt honestly hopeless? Like there was a low so devastating that you just thought, I don't know if it's ever going to happen?
A lot. I'm more of the, he calls me negativity sometimes.
Negative Nancy is what she is.
Seems to be that side of things. And he's the most positive person ever. So he would always keep me on track and keep me going. But there was times that, both of us would, feel like it wasn't going to work. But we have a huge family that's Christian faith and kept us going, and would always give us scripture or something that would keep us going.
Give us the push when we needed it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was hard. And I mean, there was times that we didn't ever think that this was going to be possible.
What was the hardest time in your journey? The hardest moment?
Probably,
The triplets.
well, we had a pregnancy in 15 where I was pregnant with, we weren't real sure if it was twins plus an ectopic pregnancy, or if it was just the ectopic pregnancy causing the, HCG rising. We weren't sure how that went. But that was hard because we had a huge positive pregnancy that time, and it was actually my very first IUI there at the fertility clinic with Dr. Keenan, and we had multiple ones before that. So to get that positive pregnancy test after that first one was huge. And then ended up having ultrasound, started having some complications, and then come to find out I had an ectopic pregnancy, which led to an emergency surgery with a removal of my fallopian tube. So then that alone gave that extra negativity to, great, I've only got, now I've only got one fallopian tube that's gonna cause another hiccup that we've got to jump over. So that was probably the hardest, when we got that really boost of positivity, and then it got shot down again. So
how did you not give up?
I get emotional when I talk about it. My God, faith. That's how I knew I was going to get through it. And then we have a wonderful family.
I can tell you do. Say more about that, about God and faith. You always had a sense that God, no matter how you might have been tempted to feel, that God was there and he was shepherding this.
Oh yeah. There'd be times where, I wouldn't have any kind of hope, and then I'd get a call or, a text message or something like that. And that kept it going.
So he gave you just exactly what you needed at exactly the right time.
Yeah, we call them God winks. When we get those little things that come in and keep us going. So
RJ, are there some God winks that you remember as well?
Oh, I get them all the time. I get them all the time. But yeah, I get them in sense of, like to say, when Journey was born, we was having some complications with her birth, and I went out to grab food, and I prayed all the way out to get the food, and a huge rainbow appeared over the hospital after a rainstorm. I mean, that's the God winks I get. And he always knows when to give peace whenever we need it. And that's when I needed it the most. Yep.
What was it that finally, explain medically to the degree you can, what was it that finally turned it around, that finally led to success after all these years, seeing Dr. Keenan and Linda, who were rooting for you guys so much, especially Linda, how hard she roots for people. What was it that finally turned it around?
I think it was Dr. Keenan's. The last time we went in, she was our last embryo.
Or the frozen eggs that we had. Yeah. She was the last
one, and the worst quality one that we had.
Her grade was like we had two, and the grades was like a B and a C, I think. I might have that wrong. But
and so when you're going in for IVF, sometimes they think, well, the chances of that leading to a successful birth of a healthy baby are not good.
Yeah, and Keenan come out and he looked at us and he said, I have faith in underdogs. And he prayed with us, and I left there that day with the most positivity that I felt leaving there ever. And I knew that this was it. I felt it. And I mean, as you see, we've got our land over here. So yeah,
Yeah, and for those of you watching the video version of the podcast, you may get to see Journey here in a second or a couple minutes. But I gotta ask, Lacie, were you feeling as positive that day as RJ was?
I felt, I mean, obviously going in there knowing that this was probably going to be, when we were talking and praying about it, was probably going to be our last attempt for, the IVF. This was our third IVF. And, but I didn't have any bad feelings. I had peace about it, and the prayer helped tremendously. And he's always positive. So when I got in the car, he said, "This is it." He said, "No negativity. This is it."
this
So
is it. Don't want to hear negative out
Yeah.
your mouth. Don't want to hear
Yeah.
negative thoughts. This is it.
he always tells me, just think before you say something. So when I try to do that, because I can be, well, what if this doesn't work, or what are other options? And that time I literally did not give any kind of open opportunity for negativity in that time.
So once you did achieve the pregnancy,
Mhm.
what was that like? I mean, were you on pins and needles, both of you, the entire 8 or 9
It was
months?
rough.
I was, we did have a scare because I never made it. I've had several miscarriages, and I've never made it past that 6-week mark where you come in for your ultrasound, and it was coming up. And I was getting nervous then. And then I got the ultrasound. We heard the heartbeat with Dr. Keenan, and that was a wonderful moment. And then about 12 weeks, I guess, I started spotting a little bit, and all automatically, just fear just come. And he got me back on track and just said, nope, we're not doing it. We're good. We're fine. And it ended up being something common. It was one of the, I guess, from all my procedures and stuff. It was just some old stuff, and it ended up being fine. And I had a wonderful pregnancy after that, up until about a week before I delivered her. Started having a little bit of high blood pressure, that type thing, the preeclampsia scares and all that. So
Yeah, and yeah, both of those issues are common. I remember my wife with our first that both of those happened, and yeah, and she made it. The little girl's 24 now. So how, before we get to the birth and everything of Journey, have you guys added it up? Like how many miscarriages, how many procedures, how much money you spent?
Oh Lord.
yeah, I don't want to get
Or
all
maybe
the-
you don't want to. Maybe that's too much of a
It's-
horror story.
I know we've tried to, when we were, getting ready to do this podcast, we were trying to sit there and think about all that. And I feel like we've had close to 5 or 6 miscarriages, and an ectopic pregnancy that led to an emergency surgery. Money, I mean, and I know other
Fertility's
patients.
expensive.
Yes.
I mean, order medicine from Israel.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot. And
Yeah.
but it took family, friends.
If it wasn't for our family, I mean, there was times that, we'd they'd come to us and they'd say, "Okay, are we doing it this month?" Or and, we'd have to tell them, "No, I mean, we can't, we're having to
Can't do it.
wait. Financially, we're having to wait." And I'd get a call from Taylor that, "Hey, your mom called," or "Hey, your mother-in-law did," and it was amazing. They would take care of whatever we needed.
Yeah, you can't beat family. It's great,
Mhm.
and they're there for you.
Oh,
they'll
yeah.
be there for you.
I'd
So
say
take me-
cash wise, we're way up there.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean,
from 2006, the medication alone. Oh my
his
gosh.
shots was easily, and it increases obviously every year, it changes, but at least 600 for one of his shots that he would have to get
per
a month. That lasts about 4 weeks.
Yeah. From 2006. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot of money.
Just in that, and that's not, the procedures that we've had to do, and the total amount of, the IVF in itself, 3 times. And so
That's an awful good thing you guys are commercial real estate magnates, so you can afford all that.
Yeah.
Nope, that's not reality. Not reality for most of
No,
us. But
no,
yeah,
no,
Yeah.
no.
you had family pitching in, and
Mhm.
God found a way.
And it was the whole family. I mean, for all the way, I mean, even friends, they'd call and, they'd help out. I mean, we have a huge and an amazing family.
Yeah, we got to where we set up a bank account. We called out the account
We
number,
called it the baby
the
account.
baby account, and every week we'd go out there and there'd be money stashed in there from, we don't know who it come from,
Nope.
but we knew what it was for.
Yeah. And that's exactly what it was used for, was medications and the procedures. And now we're using it for her needs that she needs now. So yeah.
Well, tell me about that moment then, after all these years, well, couple things. Tell me about when Journey was born, and I'll let off the podcast, teasing this, but talk about the significance of her name.
Oh, we've had that name picked out since 2015. Journey has just always been, because I mean, that's what we've had. We have had a huge journey, and our journey has been nothing but faith that God's going to do it. And so it's just been that significant, sentimental name that we've always had. And I could not see her being named anything else. People say, oh, you'll probably change it when you hold her, and she won't feel like that name, but I couldn't imagine her being named anything else. So,
And her
yeah,
middle name is
it's
Faith,
significant.
right?
Do what?
And her middle name is Faith?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Journey Faith. Yeah.
Wow. That's great. What was it like finally holding her, finally seeing her there, that you
Oh,
made it to
good.
the finish line?
We were, I had a C-section, but I couldn't even, they raise her up above the little drapes, and, she's just squalling out, and just hearing that sound was amazing. Words can't put into anything how I felt. Yeah. We couldn't even talk to one another. We were crying so hard. And, it was a huge relief that she was here, and she was perfect.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, you've had her for a few months now.
Yeah.
Tell me about her personality and what it's like
Oh,
finally
boy, does
being
she
mom
have
and
one.
dad.
Jeez.
Yeah, she's 4 months now. She loves to be into what's going on. She cannot stand not knowing what's in her realm of who's here. I've always said she's either going to be a gymnast of some sort or something, because she's going to have abs of steel, because she loves to sit up. Even when you lay her down, she's looking up, She loves to smile. She smiles all the time. Only time she gets fussy, she likes to fight sleep. Obviously, that's probably part of wanting, not to miss anything, but she does fight sleep. She loves watching Disney.
And sports.
She's a big Tennessee fan.
Yeah,
So
sports.
yeah, she loves any sport. And I'm shocked, because she'll literally sit there and watch and like have expressions when she's watching it, which is very fun. And she loves Looney Tunes. She's just
Perfect.
amazing. Yeah.
Well, you're raising her right to be a Balls fan from a young
That's
age.
exactly right.
Yes. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hopefully she'll see some national championships before she's 20 or 30 years old.
I
Oh,
hope
yeah.
so.
Hope so.
I hope
I
so.
hope so.
Man, what a great story. As I think about this, what helpful advice would you two have? And I'll ask each of you this, for others who are walking this road. Honestly, I don't know if we've had anybody on here who was trying as long as you were. So what advice would you have for others who are walking this road, especially if they're Christian believers, like you are, we are, and so many of our people are?
Well, for me, it's getting positive people around you. Keeping them, keeping that group around you to keep you positive. Church and that aspect was huge for me. his grandpa's our pastor, and he would always say and his mom said it a lot, when all you've done is stand, all you got left to do is just stand. When you stand, you just keep standing. And that's what we did. And prayer was huge for me in this whole journey. So, and then the positivity, just keeping the positive outcome. And there is hope, and you're not alone. I mean, there's so many people going through the same thing, that with infertility, that there's always hope, and there's always one thing in a day that can give you that hope and positivity. So you just got to look for that one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What church do you guys go to?
Abundant Life in Tellico Plains. Yeah.
And
it's his grandpa's the pastor. So.
Yeah.
So did you have a whole congregation in on this as well?
Yeah, it's a long story in that aspect. His aunt and her husband pastored a church in Tellico, and she had passed away from breast cancer. So then our grandpa kind of took over the church. Her son did at first, and then his grandpa, and that's family. So we have, since we've been trying after we've gotten married, I mean, it's took a village. Mm-hmm. And there's so many people that we can thank, and it's unreal. The people, other churches, I mean, it's unreal, the support of our family and friends that we had during this time. Yeah. But yeah, the church, it was a big part.
RJ, anything that you would add to that? Any advice, especially for men who are going through this?
Well, men are kind of helpless in this whole situation. We don't go through half of what the women go through. So you kind of got to do like I did. You got to be the positive side, and you got to be able to pray and lift up your significant other, and help them to get through it, because there's some hard times that they go through, and you're just helpless because you can't do nothing to help them. So any way that you can lift them up and get them in the right atmosphere, to get them the positivity that they need, and to get their eyes on the right path, and so they will stay the path. That's the key. It's a hard road to track. I mean, tracking it for as long as we have, we've had brothers, cousins, friends who've all had babies, and they had 2 or 3, 4, 5 babies, and you get mad when you see it, but it's also a blessing whenever you see it too. And you just got to keep reminding your significant other that even though that your friends are all having babies, that you can't get mad at them, because it's a blessing to them, and you just got to stay the path, and one day we'll reach that finish line. And the positivity, the faith, and keeping them on the right path is key.
Well, that's great counsel for everybody who's going through this, and a lot of people will be listening to this who are going through that journey. Now, I don't want you guys to wake her up if this is
she's smiling.
She's awake.
If that would
yeah.
I think go ahead and grab her. For those who are watching the video version, we'll give you a look at the star of the show before we go. If for those of you who are just listening on the audio platforms, who knows, maybe you'll hear her, but we definitely want to give you a look at the prize that Lacie and RJ were waiting for so long, and that God finally answered. So we'll get her, and then we'll wrap it up. Lacie's coming to get her right now.
Here she is.
Adorable. I love it. I love the headband.
Look at her shirt.
What's it say?
The little embryo that could.
Even if others said maybe she couldn't, but boy, she does look happy, just like you were saying she is.
Yeah, very happy.
That's appropriate. Man, what a great smile. What a great smile with big eyes. She's soaking in life. She's like, I'm not sure about that podcast host on the other end.
Hello.
What a beautiful little girl. What a great family.
you.
I'll tell you what, Lacie and RJ, I think you've provided a lot of people with a lot of hope during this podcast. You've pointed them to the Lord. That's the most important thing. And gosh, we're so happy that you got your little girl. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for spending the time with me today.
Yeah, no
Thank
problem.
you.
Thank you.
For the opportunity.
And if you have questions about your own fertility journey that you'd like to run by our experts, you can schedule a free 15-minute consultation by going to our website, which is rejoicefertility.com. Again, that's rejoicefertility.com. I'm Mark Mellinger, and this has been Hope, Faith, and Infertility.